Okay guys, how you doing? Yeah, this is Mickey Parry again, and I'm gonna be teaching you how to back up your configs, either your running config or your startup config, and you're gonna be backing them up in the TFTP server. It's very important to back up the configurations of your router in case anything goes wrong. Okay, so you would be able to retrieve your files and bring back your router to normal operations. Okay, so now we're going to be following these tags, guys. We have tags 1, we have tags 2, and we have tags 3. I know some of you may want this file. If you need it in this section, please ask, or please let me know if you need it, or I would actually put it up so you can download if you want. Okay, so but this is what we're going to be working with. Task 1 says backup the running config and startup config of both the router and the switch. Okay, also backup the operating system of the router and the switch. Now thirdly, verify that the configurations and operating system are on the TFTP server. Okay guys, let's finish with task 1. We'll go to task 2. So first of all, this is a TFTP server. It's been configured, and I'm going to open it so you see the services that are running on this server. Okay, we have the different servers here, but I'm going to click on TFTP, and currently we have this database here. We have some images that are here. Okay, so before I come back here, take a look at this. There is no running config or startup config in this router currently. So I'm going to close the TFTP server. I'm going to open the router. I'm going to go to my CLI, and I'm going to go to my command prompt. Now on this command prompt, okay, we're asked to back up the running config. So guys, I assume you know how to use packet tracer and how to use the CLI in Cisco. So currently I'm in the user exec mode. I'm going to move directly to the privilege mode using enable or en. Now you differentiate the privilege from the user exec by the hash sign that would appear in the privilege mode and the greater than sign that appears in the user exec mode. So in the privilege mode, I can use show running config. Okay, I use my tab key to do auto completion, show running config, and press enter. Currently this is my running config, and this is the current configuration. You can see I have an interface currently set up, interface gigabit 0/0 with an IP address of 10.1.1/24, and going down, I think that's pretty much the configuration that is currently on this router that is particular to me. I can also do the show startup. SH, I'm shortening the command, it's supposed to be show, so I can also use just startup, or I use the tab auto completion to give me this show startup config. So let's see what we have in the startup config. I have the same configuration in the startup config, 10.1.1.1/24. So all I need to do to back up this running config and save it in a remote server, are you with me now? I need to use some commands in privilege mode. But guys, before we move on, your router needs to be connected to the TFTP server. Are you with me now? Your router needs to be connected to the TFTP server. and you need to know the IP address of this server. So I'm going to click on this server again, and let's see the config we have here. Oh, okay, this is the gateway. Let me check the fast Ethernet so we can see the IP address of this server, 10.1.1.100. So this is what I'm going to be using to connect to this server to store my information or my data. So back to the router, I'm just going to use this command. Guys, look at the command. It's called copy. Now before I copy, okay, I'm going to show you something else when I want to copy the operating system. But currently I want to copy the running config and the startup config. I'm sure you guys know what the running config is. It's a volatile configuration that goes off without saving it. If you don't save it and there's power outage, your configurations are lost. But if you want them saved and you save it, actually it moves directly into the startup config, which is in the NVRAM, the non-volatile RAM, and that is where your startup config will be. Even with power outage, power failure, or device failure, your configurations are intact even when you restart or bring your device back up. So it's always advisable, just like your Microsoft Word, if you don't save your document and there's a problem, you won't get your work again. But if you save it as you keep on typing, those are stored in the memory, or not in the memory, so to speak, stored on your hard drive. Okay, unlike when you are not saving and it's currently stored in memory. Okay, so that's just what happens here. So always save so you get your work, in the non-volatile RAM. So currently I'm going to do copy. Now what I want to do is to copy running config. I'm going to start with the running config. So I'm going to use copy, then I use running config. And where am I sending this running config to? I'm sending it to this TFTP server. So for those that don't know what to type next, I'm going to use the question mark. And the question mark tells me that I can copy this running config into Flash, copy it into FTP server, copy it into SCP, startup config, and the TFTP. And guys, you all know that if I want to save, normally what I will do is to use copy running config and startup config. You all know this. This is how we save or copy our configurations that are in memory and copying them into the startup config that is in the non-volatile RAM. Okay, but this time around I'm not copying it into startup config, because if anything happens to this router, they're all gone. Okay, so I want to have a backup somewhere, so I'm going to use TFTP. Are you with me now? Now by the time you press enter, it's going to ask you for the address of the TFTP server, and that was what I showed you earlier. And from what I've seen, based on the configuration on this server, my TFTP server is hosted on 10.1.1.100. That's the server. It must be available, and I press enter. Now destination file name. Now when this thing leaves the router and goes to the server, what name should it be saved as? Now this is giving you a default, but I'm going to give it my own name, so I'm going to call it router 1 hyphen running or run hyphen conf.g. Okay, I'm going to save, enter, and take a look at this. Writing running config. Where is it writing it to? It's writing it in the TFTP server. Once it's done, you're going to see OK and this. Now before I go to the server to show you, let's do the same thing for startup config. Assuming that both startup config and running config have different configurations in it. So I just want to have them there. Okay, so the same thing, just copy, and this is going to be what, startup. Okay, and TFTP server, enter. The IP address of the server 10.1.1.100, enter. Destination file name, I'm not going to use the default because I want to know the difference if I was to continue saving with the default it's giving me. So I'm going to let it know that this is a router 1, and I'm going to let it know that this is startup and not running config. Okay, start, and I say config. Then you use the enter key. It will write in the startup, and that's it. Wow. Now guys, let's check the TFTP server and see that our configurations or data has been sent to the server. Oh guys, can you see this? If you're able to do this, then congratulations, you've been able to back up your running config and your startup config. Okay, now now we're not going to back up the operating system now. Okay, I think tax 1 asks us to back up the operating system as well. So let's finish with the router before we go to the switch. Okay, before we go to the switch, now we are asked to back up the operating system on the router. Now let's see what we have there. So guys, on the router you need to use a command called directory, dir, to see the directory you have currently. I only have one file here with read write permission. Okay, now this is the name of the operating system or the image, which is C2900 universal.bin. So this is my operating system, but we also need to know which operating system was used to boot this or this router. So how do we know? Normally the logic is when the router boots, it checks to see if there is a command on the configuration in NVRAM, okay, perhaps the startup config, to see if you have explicitly stated that you want to use this particular iOS. Currently you are seeing only one image here. You may have as many as 5 iOS is on your flash memory here. So the system will always want to pick the first one if there is no command explicitly stated. So but if there is none, it will pick the first one to use, and that's the logic. But if there is a command that has been stated on the startup config in NVRAM, the bootstrap will go there and pick that one to use. For instance, now let me show you something. Let's check our running config and see if there is any command explicitly stated. So I'm going to press the space bar key, so I go down to see. Okay guys, I'm scrolling to see if there is any command that has been used to boot this system. Okay, now guys, there's a command you also need to know. It's called show version. Okay guys, with this show version, I would say the version of my operating system. And guys, can you see what I'm talking about? The system image file has been picked from flash, and it's used the available one there, and it will always pick the first one. Okay guys, so this is the current operating system that's used, that it is using. I didn't specify that I should use a particular one, but I'm going to show you how to explicitly choose which operating system or iOS that you want the router to boot with. So this is just the show version. As you can see, the configuration register is shown normal boot, okay, 2102. Now guys, let's copy this, let's back up the operating system too, okay. Let's back up this operating system, and as we can see guys, let's take a look at the name of this operating system. C9 Universal 151. Take note of this, okay. Take note of this guy. Let's check the TFTP server and see if that is available there before we push that iOS to this server. So TFTP server, TFTP, can we see any 151C2900? No, I only have one C2900, but with a higher version, 155. We are going to be using this later. So I only check this so you know that once I send this image here, I don't have it currently here, so it's going to appear here soon. So just take a look at this very well. You can't find any C2900 with the 151 version. Okay, so let's go and back up our operating system to finish task 1. Okay, so guys, what I need to do is to use the same copy. Okay guys, I need to copy this image. Okay guys, I need to get this image. Okay guys, I'm going to right click, I'm going to copy, I need it copied, go down to my command prompt. So what guys, can you tell me what am I going to copy now? Because this guys, okay guys, to copy the image to the server, don't forget this image, like I showed you, is currently located in the flash. So how do you see that? You can just type flash. Oh sorry guys, Control Shift 6. Okay, show flash. Okay, supposed to type show flash instead of just flash. So in the show flash, you can see just the single file I have, which is what I've copied. So why I'm showing you this is because when you type the command copy, where are you copying from? This time around, I'm not copying from the running config, I'm not copying from the startup config, I'm copying from the flash. Okay, and where am I copying it to? To the TFTP server. Okay guys, this is just the two things. Look at it, I'm copying from flash and I'm copying to the TFTP server. When you press enter, you're gonna be asked for the file name that I want to copy from the flash. That's why you must have copied this, which I've done here. So right click, copy, then down here I'm gonna paste it. Guys, can you see this now? This is a source file name, source. That is where the file is, which is in flash, and the name of the file that is in flash. I'm going to press enter key. It's going to ask you for the IP address of the remote host, which is 10.1.1.100. guys, and you press enter. Then destination file name, I want it to be the same name with the source file name. Okay, since I don't have a copy in the TFTP already, I'm going to press enter. Now it's going to write this image and we are going to see it in the server. Now let's check the server. It won't appear now, it's still connecting to the server. it is trying to push the file over to the server. Okay guys, now I'm not gonna do the same thing you're gonna do with the switch. I'm gonna leave that to you, and perhaps other tax 2 and tax 3. Okay, I don't want this video to be long, so tax 2 would be an assignment for you to do. Okay, so it's assumed you know how to use the Cisco device in packet tracer, and just what I've done, do the same thing for the switch. And if you can attempt tax 2, please do, but if you can't, please comment down. I'm going to do a continuation of this video and complete tax 2 and tax 3 guys. So while we wait, maybe I need to pause this video. So once this thing is done copying, I'm gonna restart the video. Okay guys, the router finished sending the data to the TFTP server. So now how do we check? We need to verify. Tax 1 asked us to verify that the configurations and the operating system are on the TFTP server. So though it took a long time, maybe because of packet tracer, I don't know, but all I see is after waiting for about if not 30 minutes plus, I have this OK message. So let's go back to our TFTP server and verify that the iOS C2901514.m4.bin has been sent. So I need to click on the TFTP server and go to TFTP on the services, and let's look for C2900151. Can we see? This is the other version that's been on the TFTP server, I think a higher version than this 151. So guys, we've completed tax 1. We've been able to back up our running config, our startup config, and the iOS of the router. So guys, the implication or the importance of this is if anything goes wrong on the router, we can pull back our file from the TFTP server back to our router, and we get back on board. So guys, thank you for watching. If you have any question, please do ask in the comment section. I'm done with tax 1. You can try out tax 2. I would also try to upload this configuration file so you can download. Okay, while you also try hands on this yourself. So I wish you good luck guys, and good luck. And guys, please, one more thing, please like, share and subscribe. By doing that, you encourage me to put more videos online for you to watch and strengthen your networking or your tech career. Thank you guys.